Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Grow Wealthy Grooming. I'm your host. My name is Riverly, and I'm the founder of the Savvy Groomer. I teach pet professionals, specifically groomers, all about how to make more profit while enjoying their passion. Today is going to be a different kind of show. Really quickly, I'm going to go make sure that I am live on YouTube because we all know how well that works, and in my groups. I had a totally different show planned, so I hope this is done well. I was just talking with a person that had been a coaching client, and we had had a bit of a falling out, and it was a very strange falling out because everything was going really well, and it was interesting because I had had a tough day, and she had had a tough day. And we just decided that we were no longer going to work with each other. And, like when you talk to someone and you know something's not right and you can't just ask them, hey, is everything okay? You just kind of try to figure out, but in the most polite way. And none of it really works, does it? It really doesn't work in the end. You just know something's wrong and there's nothing you can do. And it's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly difficult because you want to help that person. So hey, Peter, and hey, Quincy, the social groomer. I'm going to go ahead and pop out the chat so I can watch the chat. If you guys are watching online right now in our Facebook groups, feel free to also comment. So what I wanted to talk to about today with you guys, and again, this is going to be a little bit different. Normally I give you guys good business advice, but today I want to talk about, I just want to say the words, it's okay, just breathe. So this coaching client and I had this falling out, and it was really sad because she was one of my favorites, and I don't want to admit that. You're all my favorites, but some are more equal than others, although I am very blessed to have amazing coaching clients. And I think that's because if you're not, you either grow up and grow out. I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed. But this coaching client had said to me, hey, the way things fell apart, I just want to let you know what happened. Now, first of all, she doesn't owe me an explanation. She really doesn't. Sometimes people's personalities clash and people either love me or hate me, and I'm okay with that. But it just sat weird because something kind of minor blew up. And so she started to communicate with me, and she had let me know that she had been struggling with some personal mental health issues, to the point where she was seeing a therapist, and she also was taking medication. And for those of you guys that maybe haven't taken medication for depression or anxiety, sometimes they make your symptoms significantly worse. And as a coach, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a doctor. But what I am is a person, and a person who cares about the people around me. And there are so many emotions going on with me when I heard this, because part of me was like, I should have known. I've struggled with mental health issues. So I should have known that she was struggling. I should have seen this. I should have asked. I should have something. Instead of, I didn't totally dismiss her. I just said, you know what, this isn't right, but I'm not going to pry. I'm just going to let it be. But very easily I could have turned it into a war. And I'm really grateful I didn't, because she shared with me how she was struggling. And again, I don't want to go into her personal details. We don't need to. And, obviously it doesn't matter who it is, but there's lots of us like that, right? There are lots of people right now who are struggling emotionally, between COVID, between isolation, between maybe you figured out your business isn't as profitable as you thought it was. Maybe your employees all left you. Maybe you're having problems with your spouses. I mean, there's so much going on. And I know part of me had contributed to that problem. And again, I want to be open and vulnerable, not because I want to overshare and not because I ever want like a poor river kind of situation. But I thought maybe by sharing and by being vulnerable, guys, it gets rid of the stigma. And I think that's so important. For those of you guys that don't know my story, the short version is on my About page on my website, which is savvygroomer.com. And I also made my very long About Me, because I do think that mental health and living an imperfect life is so stigmatized. I'm not perfect. I've definitely been through a lot of tragedy. I've definitely make bad choices sometimes, but what I've been struggling with recently is my young son, who's going to be 10 in April, had a long time where he had to be with his grandmother. So his father lives with his parents, which is not my ideal. But when his grandmother was in hospice during COVID, basically we had two choices. He could be left at the house, he was left at their house, and he wasn't, because of COVID, he wasn't allowed to see me in person or really any person except for his immediate family in the house. And being a young child, being 9, that's really isolating. And we didn't know how long that was going to last. We didn't know if his grandmother was going to pass in a month or 6 months or a year. We didn't know how long COVID was going to last. But it was really hard as his mom to watch him. He's a very social person. And to be kind of isolated like that was not good for his mental health. COVID in general hasn't been good for his mental health. And then, I don't know if he was joking, but he had said to me that he wanted to die. And hearing your 9-year-old child tell you he wants to die is incredibly overwhelming. Especially where I had suffered my own mental health. For those of you guys that don't know my story, the very, very short version, if you want to read the long story, which is incredibly sad. I always say, if you want a good cry, guys, go ahead and read my story. And that's not because my life is sad. My life is beautiful. My life is wonderful. But sometimes those are sad moments. And I think a lot of us are feeling that right now. So I really want to I had a totally different thing planned for today. But there's so much of it right now. I think we need to talk about it as a community. Especially where the pet industry, we have so many people who have emotion fatigue and all of these things. Thank you, Erin, for being so open. Erin is sharing that she went through the same exact thing with her son in October. And it's so, so difficult because you can't imagine why your child would want to die. But then I think about myself, when the short story of my life, as far as, I moved out when I was 16 because my mother, who I love and adore and respect at this point in my life, was dating a drug addict. And I had to leave. And I figured my life out. I graduated high school. I became pregnant with my son, and his father did not think that this was a good idea. And so we had gotten into a giant fight, and he let me live in my car when I was pregnant. My mother and grandparents wanted me to get back with him. So they basically said, no, you can't live with me. Go figure it out. And I opened up my grooming salon 4 days before my son was born, and we lived there illegally until he was 6 months old. And I don't think that's a badge of honor. I think that is someone who's poor and terrified and making the best decision possible. I used to eat ketchup sandwiches because we were so poor. And I remember brushing my teeth all the time. because when you brush your teeth, you're not hungry. I made my life better, and then things didn't quite work out. Fast forward, I was pregnant with twin daughters, and at 20 weeks pregnant, I went septic. I almost died, and they were preemie, and they were very preemie, and they did not live. And then I fell into a very dark mental state because I felt like I had failed them. There's a part of me that felt like if I had gotten better, if I had done something different, they would be alive. But that's not the truth. That's just the weird, messed up things we tell ourselves. My little friend here. But I fell into a deep depression because I lost them and all of my wonderful clients. Thankfully, I had an employee, but constantly every day baby stuff was coming home. And they'd be like, don't worry, it's for the next pregnancy. And they meant that in the most kind, beautiful way. But it just ate me inside. And I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. And then when I went to see help, it didn't help. And then when I was on medication, it made me want to die. And I thought every day I would fantasize about how to kill myself. Where would I die? Who would find me? Who would it make the least impact to see me die, to find my body? I would be driving in my car and think to myself, I can't hit that pole, or I can't go off this bridge. I would just be paralyzed. I wouldn't die. And, so I've definitely been there. And they're not rational thoughts. They're not. I remember at one point, I had a very, very specific fantasy about harming myself. I wanted to, I found out I could get helium tanks and that you could kill yourself with helium. But if you didn't die, that you would just have a really bad headache. And again, I'm not saying that for anyone to do that. I'm just, when someone really wants to die, when they have a plan. I wanted to die on the beach. And I would go every morning. And I wanted to see what were the conditions, what was the least likely situation where no one would find me or the right person would find me or whatever it was. And these are all very dark, awful thoughts. And they're thoughts I would never want anyone to have. Never mind my child. Quincy is wonderful. She's saying, oh my gosh, River, it's a lot to hold on to. COVID is so hard. And so many of these young kids, it breaks our heart. COVID has been horrific for so many people. And thank you for all those guys that are sending me messages. I'll read them when I get off this live, but I really want to be open and share and vulnerable. Aaron's saying this past year has been the straw that broke the camel's back. I have struggled since my divorce, but this past year can't truly put into words. If I could hug you tight, I would. I think we all need these hugs. I think we all miss whatever it is that seems to be lacking right now. COVID really has made things harder. I miss the physical connection with my friends and family. I haven't seen my grandparents more than twice this year in person. My mother is their primary caretaker. So if I get to see her in person and hug her, it's a blessing. And it's amazing how much we took all these things for granted. And we did have a gentleman in the building I'm in commit suicide. I won't say his name for his family, but it really scared me and made me wake up. I mean, I was always awake, but I had seen him just a day or two before he had harmed himself. He, long story short, Not that this is an excuse, but when I talked to his girlfriend, he had had a lot of success. He had worked at a club and he was making over $200,000 a year. And when COVID closed, he went down to making $4,000, because in Rhode Island you get $600 a week no matter how much you make. And then he'd gotten the COVID kicker. Now, mind you, our rent is $2,000 a month. So he basically lost everything. And then his beloved boxer, who has cancer, she passed away. And he blew his brains out in the bathroom. And it's awful. And, I'm really grateful. I don't know if it's dumb luck or if it's intervention or what, but I'm really grateful that I never went through with the thoughts and the feelings I had. I'm really grateful. And it's not like I did anything magical. My cat's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It wasn't anything specific. I don't know why I didn't harm myself. I couldn't tell you. I could tell you it's being a mom. It's being this. It was, no. If anything, a lot of those things made it harder. When my son went to go live with his dad and I realized he didn't need me, that was so hard because I was like, my son needs me. And then he didn't need me. He wanted me, of course. I was his mother. But living with his dad, who he had never lived with full time, and seeing he was okay made it really hard. It made it really, really hard. So I just want to remind you guys that even people that are successful, even people who seem like they've got all their stuff together, it's just, you don't know. We don't know. And when people are struggling, we don't know. I always use the example of, I was in Whole Foods and I think it was like my flowers were off price or something. There was something going on. And I was the biggest Karen to the cashier. And it was like the first time I had gone out after they had passed. And I had Uber Eated everything. And I went out and I just wanted some groceries and I got myself some flowers. And it was like the price of the flowers was wrong, or there was something very mild. And I just completely lost my shit. And so now whenever I see someone losing their shit, I don't jump to conclusions. Because you never know. I didn't look like anything was wrong with me. I just looked like an entitled bitch. But my entire world had crumbled. And I didn't know what to do. Erin is saying, being a single mom, my soul hurts without physical contact. The isolation is intolerable. My heart hurts for so many people that are hurting. It's devastating what COVID has done to so many. A lot of us really are isolated. And I just want to let everyone know that, I'm not a therapist. I'm not. I can't tell you how to feel better. But what I can do is say that, things do get better. Even if you think they don't. If you had asked me in those horrible moments, I would say God hates me. Why would he do these things to me? Why would he do this? But I've never been happier, even though I have less. I'm really happy. And I'm really grateful to be here. It's really messed up, but some of the best advice I ever got was, you can always kill yourself tomorrow. And I remember realizing that I don't have to suffer forever. If I can make it through today, if I change my mind, I have the power tomorrow. But today, I can get through today. I can get through today. And I don't know how many of you guys need to hear that. I don't know how many of you guys really need to hear that. And I think more people need to hear this than I even know, because I see so many wonderful people around me who are just suffering, and they're suffering in silence. And if you want to share, share. If you don't want to share, don't share. But just know that no matter what, it's okay. If you have really fucked up feelings, so that's sometimes really fucked up feelings, they're not how I'll feel forever. I can feel really bad sometimes and know that that's not forever. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much love you have. You can feel isolated. You can feel bad. So there's no stigma attached to it. And if you guys ever need someone to just vent to, I'm always here. I can't be anyone's therapist. I can't give you amazing advice as far as your personal life goes. My personal life is always in cinders. And, I'm on my way. I want deep, passionate love. I want more children. I want a stable, happy life. And I know I haven't had the best experiences, but I know they'll get better. And for those of you guys struggling with your mental health, find help, whether that is a friend, whether that is a therapist, whatever it is. COVID has done some really horrible things to good people. And I just needed to get this off my chest. And we can always do the topic I had planned next week, but I don't know who needs to hear this today. I don't know who needs to feel this today. I don't know who needs the hug tonight. And I would rather put this out and have somebody roll their eyes and say, who does River think she is? Because that's what the voice in my head tells me. Who do you think you are telling these people anything? No one cares what you've gone through. And it's not about what I've gone through. And the reason I share is because, recently someone told me basically, oh, you don't understand. And I want to be like, girl, I've been to hell and back. I have suffered. I have suffered some of the worst things I would never wish on anyone. I was 20 weeks pregnant with my daughter and my daughters. And I went in and I was like, I don't feel good. And they said, well, if you're in labor. I'm like, I just don't feel good. And I had a fever of 104. And they were like, yeah, your organs are shutting down. You have a fever of 104. You're in labor. We're going to see if we can stop the labor. We're going to see if we can cool you down. Their lungs are not ready. They're not ready. So if we can keep you all alive for a few weeks, that's what we're going to do. But we're probably going to have to make a choice. And the choice was, do I risk my life and potentially die trying to fight off this infection while being pregnant, with 104 fever and organ failure? Or do I let my daughters die? And we don't know what people go through. We really don't. And I was super private. And the reason I'm open, not because I think anyone wants to hear this, but because if you're suffering, you're not alone. And I'm really tired of everyone pretending like their lives are perfect. And if you have a perfect life, I'm so happy for you. I really am. If you live a beautiful life where nothing bad has ever happened to you, I'm so happy for you. And I'm not mad at all. Guys, I just want those that know that things are not perfect, that you're okay. There's success on the other side. Just breathe, It's okay. You know, it'll be all right. And, you know, I just think it's so important to share all of those things, because I don't think in a world where everyone's online now, we don't, see each other. We see the best versions of each other. A lot of times that's fucking bullshit. Guys, sometimes that's not reality. And don't feel like you have to be perfect. Don't feel like you don't have to. It's okay if you're a mess right now. It's okay. Everything is going to get better. And even if it doesn't get better right now, you never know what's around the corner. Think about all the beautiful things I would have missed out if I had killed myself. I am so grateful to have my Savvy Groomer community, because I've built a community of incredibly smart groomers and dog trainers, but mainly groomers, because they're the craziest people and I love them. I just am so grateful. And I love watching all of you grow. And I love watching everyone get what they want ultimately. It might take time. It's okay. It's all good. Peter said, it can be the smallest thing, the straw breaks the camel's back, so to speak, but it's the power to put one foot forward in time and the small things that keep us going. Absolutely. Find whatever that little thing is. It can be your dog or cat. My cat's being such a jerk right now, but I adore him. Every time I'm sad, he makes me crazy and makes me know that he loves me. Only I would love an asshole cat, right? Hannah saying, thank you for sharing your story, River. I couldn't imagine what you've went through. I wish I could give you a hug. This helps, and so many others know they're not alone. I don't want anyone to feel alone. I felt so alone and pathetic when I was going through what I was going through. But it's so hard when everyone online and everyone in real life seems happy. And guess what? I don't want them to be sad. I just wanted someone to not look down on me when I was sad. But now on the other side, I know that's not real. No one's going to be like, oh, you're sad. No, they're going to be like, hey, are you okay? But in the moment, we just feel rejected. Aaron's saying, I'd rather not post anything on social media than fake happiness. I have no patience for fake happiness. I have no patience for bullshit. It's hard. It's so hard to go through what we go through. And, especially in the pet industry, we have so much compassion fatigue. This is a hard job, guys. This is where, when I teach my online course, Personal Finance on a Leash, I love Dave Ramsey, but the rice and beans stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work because if you need, listen, I need a cup of coffee with someone to write my name on it and be nice to me to start my morning right. It's the little pleasures that make us feel good. And if that means I'm going to be in debt a little longer, I'm okay with that. We deal with so much as groomers, and it's so important for us to protect our mental health. So I'm not going to ramble anymore. It's hard when I'm emotional because I fight that, like, wanting to be authentic and wanting to be vulnerable. And the other part of me is, you guys will often hear me say, control your voice. It's like the voice in my head is rotten to me. It tells me no one cares what you think. You think you're so smart and you're not. Who do you think you are? No one wants to listen to you. Why do you do this every week? People don't care. And it's the meanest voice. And sometimes I have to talk back to it and I say, hey, that's not true. And so you guys will hear me say things like, I tell myself no one cares. That's bullshit. The truth is, what I have to say only needs to matter to me, but if it helps somebody, that's great. I'm a daughter of an alcoholic. I am, my mother had to have her own journey where she dated men that were abusive. I have my own abuse history, and that left a lot of holes in me. But I love the saying, it's not you who causes the wound, but it is your responsibility to heal it. So if a dog bites us, it's not our fault the dog bit us, as long as you're not one of those people, But it is up to us to treat the wound, otherwise it's going to fester. So, it's up to me to heal my wounds. It's up to you to heal your wounds. But it doesn't mean your wounds make you weak. I'm not a weak woman for being sad my daughter's died. I'm not a weak woman for going through a lot of things. But I'm not going to identify as a strong woman because I survived them. I'm going to identify as a strong woman because I came through them, and it has led me to be compassionate and kinder than I have ever been in my life. That's what makes me strong. Suffering does not make me strong. Suffering and becoming kind and compassionate and loving makes us strong. Because if I had suffered all of this and I became the biggest asshole, that wouldn't make me strong. Now I'm snorting. It's not a good look, my friends. But I feel very vulnerable, and I'm going to finish up. But for those of you guys that needed to hear this, I want to give you the biggest hug, and I cannot thank my community, even just right here, getting all these virtual hugs means a lot to me. And we need to reach out to our community when we are suffering. And it's so important to me. It's so important to me to create a community in Savvy Groomer where we can talk about things, because, I was talking to other people. I don't know what it is exactly about groomers especially that attracts people with mental health issues or people that have a lot of suffering. But, it's so amazing to see how much love there is. Thank you, Peter. Peter says much love. It's really fantastic to see how much caring there is in this community. And so if you are feeling that, I hope you feel a little less alone. I hope you just breathe, get through today. Tomorrow is a new day. And, if it makes you feel better, think about all the things you would have never learned from Riverly and the Savvy Groomer if I had killed myself. And that may help you. And my life is beautiful. My life is so beautiful. It's not perfect. There's things I would change, but I'm very grateful to be alive. And so if you are having those mental health issues, please seek help. All right, now that I'm all teary-eyed, I'm going to insert deflection. Pop, 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 pop. So this was today's topic for Grow Wealthy Grooming. It's okay. Just breathe. For those of you guys that need something, I'm here. I know I have like 6 personal messages to read, and I need like a good cry, but it feels good. It feels good. It feels really good. There'll be no sales pitch today, guys. I just want to be here for you. There's so much free stuff I have if you guys need free shit. There's so many free videos. And it's amazing to think there would be no Grow Wealthy Grooming if I had killed myself. All the people I would have missed helping. All the people's stories I wouldn't have been a part of. It's just amazing. You know? Oh, Shelly's saying I'm a beautiful person. I'm like, let me read all these wonderful comments. But, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go, and we will go ahead and do our regular show next week. But I just want to make sure anyone who needed to hear that did hear that. And there is so much support, you know, there's so much support available. So you're okay. All right, guys. I don't know how to end this because I feel both really loved by everyone. Like Erin just saying you're not alone and we love you and we're here with you. I feel very loved, and that feels very awkward because like, when you feel so vulnerable, and I'm sure if you guys feel this way, like you're like, here's all my innards and all my like little squishy parts. And then you're like, people are like, oh, I love you anyway. And you're like, vulnerability, and I feel so loved. This just makes me feel uncomfortable. But it's good. It's so good, you know. And I just can't get over how grateful I am that I didn't make terrible decisions. And then when people do make terrible decisions, like the young man that was in my building, I think about how much just I'm not responsible, but man, I wish I knew better. I wish I knew. So that's where I just want to send that out to people. Erin's saying it makes you real to us. I don't want to be real. I want to be like Superwoman and so smart and so sexy and da. But I can't help people if I pretend to be this fake perfect person, because there's enough people out there that come off as this fake, silly people. And it's not real. And it's not fair because it makes you feel like crap. LRJA8 says, hopefully you'll get better with time at least. It can help airing it. I know I'll get better. And things are going to keep getting better. Shelly's saying the Magnolia cabin burned to the ground yesterday. Oh my God. I hope everything's okay. Erin's saying, don't feel bad or vulnerable. Each person here is talking a little of your pain off your shoulders. I know. And that's where, for you guys that are listening to this and you're not one of those very sherry people. I'm not either. And it's so good to feel supported, but it also feels bad. And that's okay too. Like if you share and you feel kind of like, oh, it feels like icky. For me, it's because I know my family is one of those families that just pretends like everything's fine. Like at my baby shower, I was living in my car and everyone was pretending like I was together with my son's father. And it was so bizarre, And when my daughters passed, it was just like they didn't exist. It was no big deal. So, it's a skill set I've had to learn. And it's okay if you need to learn it too. But I just want to share all of that. And I know it's weird to be this vulnerable, but if you need to talk, I'm always here. I can't fix you. I have no interest in fixing you. Have no way. But what I can do is just be there. Hi, cat. Listen, we gotta go. Stop being a naughty cat. Shelly's saying, oh, that's so sad about her. That's so sad. But everything, we're all on our way. We'll all figure it out. All right, well, I'm going to let you guys go so I can put myself back together a little bit. But if you need help, I'm here. If you need to talk, we've got this. Oh, I will do that. If you need a place to talk, please hop into my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. You know, it's a community run by myself and my team, full of incredibly kind, wonderful people. No, we're not here to fix you. But at the same time, if you're struggling with your mental, emotional health, being a pet professional, you're not alone. And even if it has nothing to do with being a pet professional, it'll affect your job. It is really hard to do what we do when you don't feel good mentally. And with that, my friends, I will let you go. Have a fantastic night. Hug your loved ones, hug your dogs, hug your cats. If you've got horses, fuck you, but hug them. And I'm so jealous. Or chickens. I love chickens. I would love a pet chicken. Even better, an otter. Like I would love a river otter. And I'm thinking about all the pets I need to get. But I really should not get any more pets. All right, my loves. I will talk to you later. And as always, happy grooming, guys.